Danny, can you check this? zombie!
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Ghost. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us. There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
He asked for a stripper, a go-go dancer, and I go, how about Dolce?
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our East co-host, back east. As always, handling all the producing duties, it's going to be Danny. He'll connect you to us. Our special co-host for the day, it's Mike Dolce, 3-time Trainer of the Year, also a host in the podcast world himself, The Mike Dolce Show, and as I've mentioned many times, an expert in strength and conditioning, nutrition, weight loss, rapid weight loss.
Rapid. Healthy though.
Healthy, that's right. Hey, what's the quickest turnaround in all your career where someone goes, hey, I'm fighting 48 hours, can you get me down 20 pounds? Like, what was the most extreme healthy
the most
weight loss that you ever did?
Was Dwayne Bang Ludwig to get back in the UFC to fight Jim Miller. It was 48 pounds in 13 days.
Whoa.
People don't know that.
48 pounds in 13 days?
He had just beat, I believe it was Waylon Lowe in the Ring of Fire Sven Bean show up in Denver. Just beat Waylon. It was over Christmas holidays. Dwayne ballooned all the way up to 198. And we had to get back down to 56 in 13 days. The fight, I think, was like January 2nd, so it was like the worst possible time of year. And, I mean, that's how tough Bang is, right?
Damn.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What's that number? What would have been the limit where you said, we can't do it? Like, how far off were they?
Yeah, what if you would have said 50 pounds in 13 days?
It depends on the athlete. You know, it depends on their physical makeup. What's their lean mass ratio? What's their level of hydration? What type of food do they eat? What's their medical history? So we do a pretty in-depth background on every athlete before we sign on. Nowadays, we have access to DEXA scans. We get full blood panels, things like that. But in those days, I had worked with Dwayne for the Waylon fight, so I knew the type of – it wasn't real weight per se. It was a lot of bloating. It was a lot of edema. You know, it was –
That's what I got.
We all got a little bit of that. So I knew, you know, we had been down, I think, at December 5th. We had made, or 4th, we had made 56. So I knew, you know, we had to work our tails off, and we certainly did. But I knew we could get it down. Now, if it was just some average athlete, let's say, that was 48 pounds over or 42 pounds over on such short notice, probably would have said no, or next day I would have been in the doctor's office with them doing a complete panel.
Is it nerve-wracking for you? Because I have to imagine that when you sign off on it, you 100% know that this guy can do it.
100%.
But you can't always control the athlete, and you want to keep that record of intact that people know if they're with Dolce, they're going to make it.
Still batting 1,000,
right? Is
it
nerve-wracking for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we are the only MMA nutrition company that's never had an athlete miss weight. I say that very proudly because every other company that, you know, lots of companies in recent years had tried to build a name for themselves by talking bad about us. Oh, Dolce doesn't know what he's doing. We could do the same thing. Well, they've all failed. And they've all failed miserably. You look at Pettis, you know, Pettis and Hendricks failed over.
Who was Pettis with?
He was with, I'm not going to say the dude's name, but he was with some loudmouth tattooed guy with no background, no licensing, no certifications, practicing illegally. And that's another point of differentiation. All of these companies, they're practicing what is known legally by federal law as medical nutrition therapy. When you're working with athletes that are cutting weight, especially in combat sports, that falls under the guidelines of medical nutrition therapy because their health is at risk. It affects their cardiac function, cognitive function, their biological process. You can't just have a local bro conducting weight cuts, administering weight cuts. You look at, Cyborg's former coach, the guy that she just fired, that she accused of putting her on that very dangerous.
I have to say the name. So she fired George Lockhart because I didn't know that.
She fired
him. Did you know that?
Yep, she fired him.
Oh, wow, okay.
The reason, she just did an interview, I think, with MMA Fighting, or they published an article. The reason why she was unable to accept the title fight was because she was still feeling or still suffering from the ill effects of the weight cut. And Cyborg said, by her words, she felt like she was going to die. And her doctor was very concerned and not allowed her to actually take another fight to cut weight. She couldn't do that again. Now, that's disgusting because they're hiring these, quote, nutrition professionals to look after their health, to ensure their health, and to further their career. So these kind of, jokers out there, and I do say that, use that term intentionally, they are preying on the athletes without credentials, without legal licensure, which is very important this day and age. There's no legal representation or authorization for them to practice because they don't have the proper education, as we can see with the suffering of their athletes. Our team has all that. We have registered dietitians on staff. We've been at a company, we've been doing this in combat sports for over 20 years. In that time, we have never, not once, had an athlete miss weight. And what's funny is most of these other teams lure some of our athletes away for, cheap tickets, and the athlete goes out there, they miss weight dramatically. You look at what happened to Kelvin. Same thing, what happened to Hendricks,
Kelvin at 205.
Kelvin
and Pettis at 206, I guess were the latest big names, right?
Yeah, and
I do want to say one thing, though. And of course, I'm not doing this to come at you, but I did say you're batting 1,000. But just to be clear, on the first attempt, Hendricks didn't make it. You guys went back and you made it.
Yeah.
So you made it.
We made it.
And was that the only time that you ever had even the blip or anything?
Thiago Alves in England, that was in Birmingham, England. That was a difficult weight cut. Thiago's another one. I'm not with Thiago anymore. He used another team for his last fight. He missed weight by 6 pounds. This is the difference. So what we do, I understand probably better than anyone what the laws of the commission are, what rules we're operating under. I understand what the contracts are. I know what the timelines are. So when Hendricks doesn't come in on weight, that was intentional. What we did, we gave Hendricks a 2-hour break, knowing, all right, you're going to show up, you're going to miss weight by half a pound. We're going to have another 2 hours to get that weight off. Let's relax a little bit, allow the anxiety to come down, the cortisol production to come down, allow his core temperature to normalize. That's part of the science. We have to make weight truly 2 hours after weigh-ins. Now, we want to hit it, nail on the head first time, but we're not going to risk the health of the athlete. So every single one of our athletes has always missed weight. They have never, ever missed weight. They've always fulfilled their contractual details.
Gotcha.
No other team can say that.
I remember another close call was Vitor sucking on ice inside of a towel, right?
That wasn't no. Vitor was on weight hours beforehand. That was when Anthony Johnson missed weight by 18 pounds. That was nerves.
Okay. Oh, it was?
That was
sucking
just
on the ice?
That was just because he was like, holy crap.
I remember when Johnson didn't make it, I thought Dana was in a room. And
Dana, Lorenzo, myself, Recefo, Vitor.
You guys talked about it, and then he asked Vitor, and I thought Vitor turned to you, and you said, we're going to be professional and make the weight?
Because what Dana and Lorenzo said was like, listen, Anthony's going to miss weight by 18 pounds or whatever number that was. Like, you can go ahead and start rehydrating if you want to right now. And I looked at Vitor. We're like, no, we worked so hard, because Vitor's a big guy. We worked so hard to make weight. We're going to go up there, because this was in Brazil. We're going to go up there. We're going to show Brazil. We're going to show the world what a professional is. Vitor was already on weight at that point sitting there. He was on weight 2 hours before when we got in the car in terrible Brazil traffic. So he's chewing on the ice. So he's actually slow dripping, consuming water, kind of rehydrating. It's like we make like a little slushy we put in there with electrolytes and whatnot. He's rehydrating. So he was on weight. We decided to be a professional. So when you look back at the records, you'll see, because we know it's part of his history, his legacy. Vitor Belfort made weight. Anthony Johnson missed weight. Vitor went ahead and beat Anthony anyway. So it wasn't, well, Anthony missed by X amount, and then you look in the record books 5 years later, well, Vitor missed by 5 pounds also, because they won't have that asterisk next to the the conversation that we had with Dana and Lorenzo. So we were being professionals.
Could you have gotten Pettis to 145?
Well, now here's a little thing. I had gotten Pettis to 45 his first fight.
Oh, did you? Really?
I had worked with Pettis. Malky Cow had contacted me. I had worked with Pettis.
So the Oliveira fight?
For the Oliveira fight, all the way through until the last week when my wife had some complications with her pregnancy and I couldn't go. And it was everything's safe. Baby Arden, she's born now, so everything is perfect. But I couldn't leave my wife and fly to another country, unfortunately. And I spoke with Pettis, who was super cool. Really enjoyed working with Anthony during that time. And then he opted to go and work with, this other dude, one of his buddies, for probably a heck of a lot less than we charge, but we charge a very fair rate for what we contribute. So Anthony made weight the first time, largely in part due to our association with him. His weight was great all the way through camp. So we kind of just handed off at the last week or so, and he was able to make the weight. And then you fast forward to, his new team, what they were doing. And my team, because we analyze everything. So anytime an athlete posts a meal, we run it through. We have very expensive nutritional analysis software. So we're running these meals that the other athletes are consuming through our software. And
You're watching the embedded when they're cooking stuff, chopping stuff up?
And it's insane. I'm looking at the camera. It's insane at how malnourished these athletes are at a micro level. So micronutrition is more important than the macros. The macros is the protein, the carbohydrates, and the fats, essentially. We do throw in fiber. The micronutrition, that's all the vital nutrients. That's how your body operates at a cellular level. And what we saw with Anthony, what we saw previously with Hendricks and a lot of these other athletes, Alves and so on, they're so disproportionate in the nutrition coming in that these individuals, they don't understand the true science. They're not educated. They're not schooled like my team is in medical nutrition therapy, in health sciences. They're just making these bro meals. It's a little bit of turkey, it's a little bit of broccoli, and they're cutting carbohydrates near completely out. The body needs those carbohydrates. It needs the glycogen. It needs the glucose to operate. And this is vetted by Anthony saying his body just completely stopped and shut down. Mm-hmm. When he was 1.5, 3 pounds over, whatever that real number is, they had this poor kid in a sauna. We don't use a sauna either. We would never put a mildly dehydrated athlete into a sauna. That's the most ridiculous, idiotic thing you can ever do with an athlete. These teams, that's what they're doing. I could go on and on. That one of these other, quote, pseudo-nutrition coaches, they're locking athletes in a bathroom in a boiling hot tub so hot, and this is at the elite level. The guy wound up missing weight. Anyway, so hot the athlete couldn't even get in with, scald marks on his skin, locking him in the bathroom with a heater in there and a running hot blow dryer in the bathroom also.
For real?
For real. That's what they're doing at the elite level. And this, I want to freak out. I just want to shake people. What are you doing? You're killing these poor guys and girls. You're torturing them. You don't have to. There's a passive way to lose weight. You can actually feed an athlete to a scale. It's actual very mild. It's electrolyte manipulation. So Lockhart, I'll use the name because you had used it with Cyborg. He had made the statement that the only way you can manage aldosterone was by using this very dangerous pharmaceutical birth control pill, which is one of the worst in the industry, that Yaz pill. Mm-hmm. That he said, I think, in an interview with Ariel, and I'm paraphrasing here, so I, kind of shut that thing off sometimes. He said the only way you can manage aldosterone is through a pharmaceutical. Well, that's the most asinine, ridiculous thing you ever heard. It's truly relative to a sodium-potassium ratio, which is all handled through food. And if you're a true nutritionist, you're actually using nutrition. You're not resorting to pharmaceuticals. That makes you a totally different kind of coach. And I'm just going to kind of leave it there. Wow. So I'm dropping heat today. Yeah. But it sucks to see these poor athletes
I wish I could keep
suffer.
up with some of these terms, but I mean, it's all scientific.
That's my job. That's my job and my team's
micro
job.
is short for microwave, and macro is short for macaroni and cheese.
There we go.
So we're kind of on a wavelength. I'm kind of fist bumping. And what were you going to say, Gus?
Well, I was going to ask you was a lot of times when we have two different fighters from two different camps in studio, at some point they're going to get together and they go, so what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah.
And they kind of share things, and they go, and every once in a while, you'll see the fighter's eyes open up and go, man, that's a good idea. I wish we could do that.
Yep.
Do you guys ever sit with other people in your industry and have these same type of conversations, or is it a little bit more private?
No, I wish, because we're
more territorial.
Not for us. I mean, you can see how open I'm being right now. I mean, you guys have hundreds of thousands of listeners and viewers right now. I'm talking to everybody. There's a joke that 3 Weeks to Shred It is our #1 international bestseller. Every coach in the game has actually purchased this because we see it. We know, unfortunately, we know that you've bought it. You'd be surprised at the names that have, which is awesome. We put this content out there to help people. Our job is to help people. We only work with 5 UFC athletes a year by choice. We have a much larger consumer business. Most of these other coaches, they're trying to do what we did 10 and 15 years ago. They're modeling their business after us over a decade or so ago. They don't realize the industry has changed so much since then. So they're traveling around following these athletes in these hotels, working with 2 and 3 and 5 or or 6 athletes on the same card, completely diluting their service. If I have 4 athletes in one hotel competing on the same card, there's no way in heck that I can actually administer and manage and oversee with a professional level of integrity their true weight cut, their true needs. So what they're doing, they're just whoring themselves out, pardon the term, trying to collect $500 to $700 per athlete per week. Like, that's what these guys and girls are pretty much making out there, which is far below what we charge. We charge a percentage of purse. But when we work with an athlete, 52 weeks a year, whether they fight or not, and they have complete access to my team of registered dietitians, certified strength and conditioning specialists, exercise physiologists. You know, we have a massive team of high-quality professionals that follow them year-round. We have in-season, we have off-season, we have peaking, we have post-competition nutrition programs. We help them overlay a periodization table on top of their 12-month or greater training system. That's what they have when they have access to us. But some of these athletes, they hear like, oh, it's 3 to 5% of my purse. That's a lot of money. No, you keep 95 out of every $100 you make, but we look at a Gaston, we look at a Pettis, we look at an Alves, we look at a Hendricks. These are guys that are giving up 20+% of their purse, usually their win money. When you look at Hendricks, I mean, you look at those same athletes, they don't get their win money, so now it's 70%. They don't go through their contract, these 4-fight deals, so they're not getting to a bigger contract, all as a result of not working with the number one team in the industry. And I can say that with absolute honesty and confidence, because we are. We've done it. We've shown it. We've proven it. I have the team of professionals in my office that are highly skilled and credentialed in what they do. Proof's in the pudding. So to answer your question, we're here. We're an open book. A lot of these teams, they think that they know what they're doing because they've read an article or they have access to Google, and they think that they know how to do it, but they don't. They don't have the level of true education and experience to get it done, and that's shown by the product of their work. They're failing miserably at the elite level. They're risking the health of their athletes, and they're risking the career of their athletes. I feel bad for Cyborg because that girl should be fighting for the 145-pound title. Because of her, former weight coach, she's not healthy enough to accept that fight and perform. These athletes should be able to compete every 6 weeks, no problem, back to back to back to back, if they wanted to, barring any sort of mechanical injury that they may have. She doesn't have any.
Could you have gotten her ready in time for Brooklyn, like the way the UFC wanted it?
And I say that because we've done it. There's no reason for me not to believe that we cannot get any athlete on weight, on time, on deadline, because we have done it every single time we've been tasked to do it. And we've done it at an exceptional level, and we've never done it risking the health of our athlete. The health of our athlete is the most important aspect with our company. Mm-hmm. The most important thing is the health of our athlete, or the health of our client, making millions of dollars and winning world titles. That comes secondary, but when you focus on a healthy athlete, they can do anything. And that's another difference that a lot of these other teams don't have. They just want to get selfies. They want Instagram posts with these athletes. And you can look at their social feeds and then look at mine. You almost never see it unless the athlete coach asks for a photo with us. Maybe they come to our office, like Khalil Roundtree recently did, things like that. I'm not posting selfies with athletes. I'm not, whoring myself out for Instagram likes. We put compelling, educational, informative content through our social feeds. These other athletes or these other pseudo coaches, they're just in it. They're will work for likes.
Dolce,
boom.
He is dropping heat. All right, so Dolce, you stated you could have gotten Cyborg ready in time for February 11th, UFC 208, but after what she put her body through, because we've seen the videos.
Yeah.
Would you have wanted to? Like, would you have told her, we're still going to do it, we're going to make history, you're going to be the first one there? Or is there something to letting her recover from that and just saying, we'll wait till March and bypass history?
Well, we do like the longer road. This would be a much deeper conversation with her and her team and her medical staff. So we would really sit down and we would get a very solid understanding of medically what's actually happening. How do we treat that issue first? And then athleticism and sport, that's secondary. So how do we help this young lady become healthy, number one, and then number two, how do we move that forward? So I would say very confident that my team can certainly do that. much better if my team's working with an athlete 52 weeks out of the year, because then there's none of these issues. The athlete continues to get healthier and healthier and healthier. Every week, month, quarter of the year, they become healthier and more capable. So
that said, she's also a rival, not a direct rival because there's different weight classes.
Sure.
To one of your top athletes, Ronda
Right, of
Rousey.
course.
Can you even do that, or is this just if?
No,
if
I'm
there was another
honorable.
Dolce?
I would never do that, and you can see in the body of our work, we've turned down many high-profile, big-name athletes and good paydays.
MMA?
In MMA, for sure, because
they rival your.
There's a rivalry,
Okay.
and it maybe the athlete, they just kind of don't like each other, and they're not even in the same weight class, but we give seniority to the athlete that we've been working with first. Period, the end. It doesn't matter if a bigger name with a bigger payday higher up on the card comes in soliciting our service. We work with who we're working with first and foremost, and then if we have room, we work with the new athlete. But we can do that because we don't need the paycheck from athletes. We have a much larger commercial business dealing with regular people. Working with athletes, that's more of fun for us. And we can do good work with these athletes that we truly care about. We build these emotional relationships with the athletes. So I'm not running around chasing paychecks like all of these other, pseudo nutrition coaches are. They're chasing paychecks right now, and when you do that, you truly dilute your service and your ability. They're like, broke salesmen. They're just trying to get a sale. We don't care about that. I'm good if I never work with an MMA athlete. I love him. I really enjoy him. We work with other combat athletes. We had Galen Rupp, who won the bronze medal for the United States in the marathon this year at the Rio Olympics. Very proud of our association with Galen. He, averaged, that was his third ever marathon his entire career. So we have I know it's insane.
Third marathon ever, and he took
and
bronze?
He took bronze for the United States, and that's a great story.
Shit.
So we were actually hired by the Oregon Project, it's a subsidiary of Nike, back in September of last year to assist on the nutrition side. And I can't get too deep into the specificity of what we were able to do, but it was on a very, very micro level. It was just fascinating. It was fascinating science to actually work with that team, that much data, such a long logbook of content to work with an athlete like Galen. And really, we were tasked with shaving 20 seconds off his marathon time. Now, if you think about that, that's less than 1 second per mile in a 26-mile race. That's how precise they are. Now, Galen ran an average, I think it was a 5-minute, 4-second mile for 26 miles. That's faster than I could sprint in 10 seconds.
4 seconds?
That was his average.
Wow.
That was his average. That's mind-blowing. Now, he competed approximately 133 pounds at 3.5% body fat. Now, you get I'm going to throw keto out there. You get all these keto people that, if you guys are familiar with keto, it's basically a zero carbohydrate diet. That's the best new thing, and grains are terrible for you. Well, we just, took bronze in the Olympics in the marathon, one of the most rigorous races in the world, and that was a very non-keto, very carbohydrate, very grain-filled athlete.
Pasta was consumed?
Power pasta was, I think he was hitting that 3 times a week. He was eating our power pasta recipe. And he was eating our breakfast bowl every single morning. So I kind of, going a little long, we work Brian Cushing in the NFL. We work with Shane Perkins, who took bronze in the 2012 Olympics in cycling. We work with a lot of athletes. We outside of the scope of MMA. We work with Lindsay Valenzuela, the 7th fittest female on the planet, through the CrossFit Games. We have a lot of these higher, and we have a pretty big Hollywood clientele now, which has taken a lot of my time and attention.
Oh, yeah?
And I can't.
I wish you could talk about it, because there's big names in there.
There's big names in there, and they put us under NDA, so we can't really talk about it. So,
but I always see stars kind of open that they're working with their.
The star has to say it.
Oh, I see.
I can't.
Okay.
And that's I don't even know if I can confirm it if the star does actually say it.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna take this break. When we come back, we'll take some calls. If you have any questions for Dolce on the nutrition side, strength and conditioning, weight loss, what supplement should I take? What supplement should I take to recover? Whatever. Bring it. 866-522-2846. And then I got a couple cleanup questions here because Dolce has been bringing the heat. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM. Rush 93. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
Pow. It certainly can. I mean, stress has. Yeah, stress. I mean, that's the silent killer.
You know that scene in Star Wars where Darth Vader tells Luke he's his father? What if I walked in right after with my voice and was like, I'm your Uncle Walter. Can I get a lift home? That'd be crazy, right? Anyway, here George and Goes.
Goes, why did we go down the road of Star Wars? I guess there's a new movie coming out, or?
Rogue One comes out tonight.
tonight?
Well, I mean, I guess technically tomorrow, but midnight.
Rogue is the name of the movie? Rogue One?
Rogue One, yeah.
Okay. And this is a continuation of Star Wars, or what is it?
It's like a side movie. So in the original Star Wars, they talk about certain events. This is a movie about those events.
Interesting.
Picture
All right.
Sopranos.
Yeah.
I like to speak in George. All right, picture Sopranos. Remember Feach Lamont? Remember when he tells that story about the girl? So picture later on, the Sopranos go, let's do a movie on Feach Lamont. And then you see that story and you go, oh, yeah, okay, that's how that played out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened with this movie.
Interesting. All right. Well, something else that's happening tonight at 8:25 Eastern, Week 15 of the NFL regular season starts with a Thursday night football showdown when Todd Gurley and the Los Angeles Lambs visit Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams call, all right, there, I misread it, sorry, is on Sirius 83 XM 226, while the Seahawks call is on Sirius 81 XM 225. Hear the national broadcast on the Sirius XM NFL radio, Channel 88, or listen on your team's play-by-play calls on your phone with the Sirius XM app. 866-522-2846 is the number to call in to participate on the show. And I had to restart my computer. I'll see if I can get some of the Facebook questions that come in through our Facebook page, facebook.com, official MMA Junkie. But I do want to do a couple cleanups here. Pat Miletich said he started running these ultra triathlons the minute he gave up gluten.
Okay.
Is that similar to what you were saying about carbs and grains and?
Yeah, so if Pat gave up gluten is
Said
basically...
he felt really good, like better. It looked like it also changed his lifestyle, not just allowed him to run more.
Sure. No, and I don't disagree with that, and we do see that quite a bit. Now, gluten has become bastardized by the media because it's catchy. I'm gluten-free, and it's a catchy term.
South Park.
Yeah. South Park, I mean, that's where we should be getting our nutritional information, is from South Park. But really, what we found is most people, they don't have gluten intolerance. They might have a mild gluten sensitivity, but truly, now gluten is a component of wheat, right? So it's a part of a wheat product. Mm-hmm. Now, most wheat products are, highly genetically modified. They're highly processed, and there's an array of very, questionable, dare I say, dangerous chemicals and components that are added to them, preservatives and flavorings and colorings and all these other things. So what we found through our practice, and we work with 2,000 people per year through our offices with our team of dietitians. So we have this massive database of human beings that have these ailments and conditions that we help them correct. What we find more than anything, it's not exactly gluten that's the problem. It's the heavily processed wheat products that they're consuming. So ladies and gentlemen, flip over your Wonder Bread or whatever bread you have in the house, even if it's this natural, earthy looking wheat bread, flip it over and look at the massive paragraph or two of ingredients. That's not what you want. Usually that paragraph ingredients has the culprits hiding in there. That isn't the wheat product. It's not the component of wheat, which is gluten. It's this massive array of this chemical cocktail that's contained therein. Now, that's not every case, but we found that to be the vast majority. So let's say we take someone from just a traditional store-bought wheat bread and we switch them onto a sprouted grain bread, like an Ezekiel bread per se. It's a big name brand. All of a sudden, they feel great. Now, why is that? Is it because of the gluten? Now, gluten is contained in an Ezekiel bread also, but it doesn't have the same processing nor the same chemical additives that are in there, and immediately they feel better. What we found is most of these conditions and medical problems manifest in the digestive system. And that's something that our practice has really started to focus on, these autoimmune diseases and conditions that are manifest in the digestive system. So once we can really start to, drill down into that area, kind of pardon the pun, we've seen dramatic health and performance improvement. So I don't disagree with what Pat's saying. Same thing with keto. A lot of times people, they give keto the credit for, oh man, I feel better as soon as I stopped eating all that garbage processed, carbohydrates in my life, I felt better. Well, it's not the carbohydrate. It's not the glucose. The lack of the glucose, it's the lack of the chemical additives. That's why they feel better.
All right. I'm going to do these calls, and then I'll do some follow-up because I'm realizing the hour is going by quickly. But we do have Dolce here for a couple hours. 866-522-2846. Our social media is facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. And I'm trying to re-log in. Goze's idea is backfiring on me, so I must restart again. And, of course, we have our Twitter, @TheGoze, @MMA Junkie George, @MMA Junkie Radio. Quickest way is via call-in. That's what we're doing here. It's a call-in show. Once again, it's 866-522-2846. Starting things off is Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco, make the force be with you, Battles.
You too.
Hey, Dolce, fantastic job that you're doing with Ronda. She looks awesome on on all the spots, the appearances on Conan and stuff like that, on the little trailer that they did of her. But talking about Cyborg, man, I mean, we cry and complain of this girl, especially as her endocrine system because it's brutal weight cuts and then messing up with the pills or, the birth control pills.
Yeah.
Didn't this girl really start messing up her endocrine system when she started messing up with the steroids back in the day? I mean, let's not forget that she has been dragging her system for a long time with stuff that she shouldn't have put on her body. And I'm not going to cry for me, Argentina, on this girl, because if she would have been living a clean life, like you always, talk about, she wouldn't be on this freaking situation, this conundrum. Whether you guys understand.
See you, Marco.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't really want to speak going backwards.
Well, her past is diuretics, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's what
it was.
The official time, the one time she did get.
It was stanozol. It was Winstrol, which was the same drug that Ben Johnson was infamously busted for from Canada. But, it's hard because that does exist, and we're all well aware of that. But, I don't want to kind of harp on that. We focus on health. We want to see healthy athletes competing. And, to Marco's point, that if there's a disruption in health, that can have long-term effects. And he presupposes that could be an issue why she's struggling right now, and that could be a legitimate issue, especially what she went through with that last weight cut. I mean, God, I watched that video. I felt terrible for the young lady. Mm-hmm. What she went through was absolutely horrific, and she shouldn't have had to go through and suffer the way that she did for that. And it was unfortunate that she was paying someone to torture her, truly.
Let's go to Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime?
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Dolce?
What's up, my man?
Nothing much, man. Hey, I have a question for you, man. I'm trying to cut out eating a whole lot of unnecessary meat.
Okay.
What would you suggest? Some supplement. I mean, that's something I can supplement for eating meat. Because to be honest, man, it's almost like some people addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol.
Yep.
I'm addicted to freaking meat, man, and it's crazy, man.
What kind of meat? You eating red meat? You eating chicken? Are you eating fish? Like, what kind of meat are you talking?
Man, just really all meat, man. I want to kind of cut the unnecessary red meat out if I can.
Cooking it at home, or are you going out to get it? You're not going to McDonald's to get it, are you?
No, I'm trying to lay off the McDonald's, and that's the thing about it. I'm trying to do a little bit more meal prep myself with making my own food. So
there you go.
I was just trying to get some tips on what I can go get, and make it at home that'll be
I would
be clean.
I'd strongly suggest going a lot more plant-based. Now, though I do eat meat, I am a carnivore. 90% of my nutrient consumption comes from plant-based sources. So a guy my size, 220 pounds, I'm eating 4 to 6 ounces of meat per meal. There's no reason for me to eat any more than that. So the guys are eating, 8, 12, 16-ounce steaks at a single sitting makes absolutely no sense. When I look down at my plate, if I have 4 ounces of a meat, that's 20 to 30 grams of protein right there. And then I look at, the quinoa or the potato or the rice and the broccoli and the spinach, the carrots, the eggplant, what have you, that's also on the plate. I'm looking at 40, 50 grams of protein per meal. That's more than I need. So it should be the same thing with you. I would suggest possibly you try switching over to fish. Look for a wild-caught salmon salmon, wild-caught fish is always the best, possibly eggs, just so you can get a little bit of that animal protein to wean yourself off. But don't be afraid to go a day or two and eat zero meat products at all. Allow your digestive system time to recover, because it is more difficult to break down meat products as it is, most plant-based products. And also keep your water level sky high.
The wild-caught salmon
Yeah.
is not the color that we're...
Not the farm-raised salmon.
Okay, what color, what's a good salmon, what color would it be?
There are a few different varieties of salmon that have different shades of red, but typically salmon is more of a red than it is an orange. So when you get any Atlantic salmon is farm raised. So never get Atlantic salmon. Always look more towards the Pacific Northwest or Alaskan sockeye, things like that. But you always want it to be wild caught. Now, I did a quick little content for our social media. I went to Sam's Club here. They had a wild caught salmon and they had a farm raised salmon. I put the two side by side. They look like two completely different species. Relatively the same, completely different, and you could see the difference. Now, the Atlantic salmon is a white fish that is actually dyed through its feed. The pellets it actually eats dyes the muscle, so it actually looks more like the darker red wild-caught salmon. It's dangerous. We stay away from that. And you'll notice a lot of people, and most sushi restaurants, it's all that farm-raised salmon. So a lot of times, and even people are like, oh man, I eat so clean, I didn't have soy sauce, I just had the salmon, and they have massive diarrhea the next day that comes out nearly like oil. That's because, and that's true. It's shocking. That's because they're eating a very, very inferior form of fish, and that's the farm raised.
All right. Did you have anything else, Showtime? Goes hijack your time here.
Yeah, one more question. Dolce, would you suggest any other type of fish other than salmon?
I'm a fan of salmon. Tuna's a little more difficult right now simply because what happened over there in Japan. So we do stay away from tuna at the moment. You can look into a cod. You can get pretty decent cuts of cod. Halibut's not bad. You can get a sea bass or some of the freshwater fish. Was all pretty good too. You got to be a little more careful on that Pacific, Southern Pacific fish at the moment, and that's kind of where the tuna falls in primarily. Just because, I do have some contamination concerns with the tuna at the moment. So we've stayed away from that for the last few years.
Thank you, Showtime, for the call. Got to move on. Let's go to Chris in Fresno. What's up, Chris?
What's good, fellas? What's good? The legendary Mike Dolce.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
What's up? Okay, so I got some MMA, and then I got some questions.
Uh-oh. Did you cut off?
He's there. He's just got a Samsung phone or something.
Oh.
Are you there? I'll put you back on hold. We'll get to you. Will from Virginia. What's up, Will? How you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, I was enjoying listening to Mike talk about that. I'm a huge carnivore myself. Mike, I got a question about I grill a lot of chicken, and when I eat it, sometimes I'll just eat just the chicken itself. I won't eat any vegetables or anything with it.
Yep.
Like for lunch or whatnot.
Yep.
And I'll notice that sometimes, most of the time I do it just by itself without any vegetables, is about 5 or 10 minutes afterwards I'll start getting like a little slight tingling sensation in my neck or something. And I was wondering, maybe is that from the hormone that's been injected into the chicken, or what could that be?
I'm not sure about that. That's something that I would suggest you speak with a doctor. Look for some sort of diagnosis. You could have a digestive issue. There could be something more insidious. Doubtful, but it's certainly possible. I would certainly suggest anytime you eat a meat product, you want to have some sort of vegetable with it. Some sort of, dark leafy green is excellent because it has high fiber content, and it will help that chicken be digested and absorbed more efficiently. So you'll get more out of the chicken that you're consuming just by simply having a serving or two of a kale, of a spinach, of a chard. Even as terrible as it is, a romaine lettuce will help with digestion. We add lots of red pepper and onion into our salads also for their micronutrition, but also because they aid in digestion. And that's what it's about. It's not what you consume that matters, it's what you actually absorb. So try not to eat any meat product without some sort of plant-based source with it.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I have noticed that when I eat it with vegetables, I do not get the sensation, but if I just have it by itself.
It could just simply be your digestive environment. You could have a more acidic digestive environment, so it could be some sort of reflux. It could be that simple. I would suggest you possibly try just like a tablespoon of an apple cider vinegar mixed in about 6 ounces of water. Have that before your meal. I do that quite a bit, and it's excellent for you. It's great with digestion, and it actually is a holistic cure for the hiccups.
There you go, Will.
Really?
Thank you very much for calling in. And of course, remember KFC offers a couple sides, so he can get broccoli and green beans.
That's
right?
true. That's
yeah,
true.
There's no excuses here on this show, man.
Frank and broccoli.
Let me catch up on a couple messages here on Facebook, facebook.com/official MMA Junkie, youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. I said this yesterday. I'll just have to say it again. When Goes logs on, you'll get about 10 minutes of silence, but there is a countdown that you know that the show starts at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Technically, we do wait for a break, a sports update on Sirius, so we're really not going live for another 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but we're not stupid. We've been doing this for a long time.
Professionals.
You just got to wait it out, and we'll adjust the time just so that we hold your hand all the way to the show.
Yep.
But that's the deal, because I keep getting this every day. No audio, no audio, no audio. You just got to hang in there with us, and once you're on, it'll be 2 hours, man.
There's a lot of in-studio guests, so we like you to be able to see them come into the studio and all that, rather than just have a blank screen.
Right. So shout out to Lonnie Jordan, Larry Mammon, and Charles Reel. That they were wondering. Hopefully, MJ Carroll as well. Hopefully that got figured out. So another question I had was, your name gets brought up a lot on the show when there's these weight issues.
Yeah.
But the one that's been the most common is, and you've actually worked with him, is Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah.
When he had the incident at UFC 205, I don't even think he weighed in.
No.
Rumors are he was 10 pounds over.
Yep.
And so everybody's saying, geez, that 20%, that probably would cover Dolce's fee, whatever. We're not trying to get into the financials.
Yeah.
But what I am starting to wonder is, we just lost a interim title fight where the other guy couldn't compete for the title.
Yeah.
It didn't matter because Max Holloway won.
Sure.
But the other guy,
yeah.
What if he won? What kind of a pickle would they be in? Gastelum, a fight was lost.
Yep.
And that's just here in the last month or so. Now, are most of the times, whether it's Lentz, Alves, or anybody else, does it come down to they just couldn't afford you anymore, or is it just a different parting of the ways? What can you share there?
It's not a matter of can't afford. Like I said, it's 5 out of every $100. They keep $95, 95 out of every 100 to have a world-class team take every thought and concern away from them and guarantee they will make weight and perform at the utmost of their ability. So that becomes a poor business decision. It's like getting in your car and having to drive 100 miles and deciding not to stop at the gas station at mile 20 when you're on empty. Mm-hmm. It's a bad decision. So there's these other teams, and now because we're getting phone calls from other athletes, so some of these teams that come in trying to model themselves after what the Dolce diet has done over the last decade and a half in MMA, and they say, oh, we'll just do what Dolce's done, but we'll do it cheaper. So they're charging these athletes literally a couple $100, $500 max, $700 maybe on the fringe. And what they're getting vastly inferior service. They're getting, a Ziploc bag of chicken that's been made in a disgusting manner in a hotel room that's been chopped with a pair of scissors and handed to an athlete. We saw that recently on an embedded. Thiago Alves just, complained of getting massive food poisoning by the team that was actually preparing his food for him. Mm-hmm. I would have to question what the hygiene standards are when they're actually preparing these meals, allowing an athlete to get food poisoning during the most important fight week of their career. So there's a reason why you pay a certain fee. It's like when you bring in a top-level, professional, you can't expect to pay them, low wage. If you want to work with the top tier, you need to pay for that service. Now, what we charge is vastly, vastly undervalued by the athletes and by the community, because usually they have managers in their ear that are charging them 15-20%. They have other coaches, in their pocket that are charging them 10%. So the athlete already is 30% out. right there. And they look at it and they're like, well, Jesus, then I got to cut Uncle Sam a check for 20, 30%. Now maybe I'm walking away with 50%. And they're thinking 50% of their show, of their win money. They don't realize for that very small single-digit percentage of bringing a team like mine in, it guarantees them they will make weight, so they will keep that 20%. And with a large percentage of success, they will actually win their fight, and that's based upon our data. Our athletes win fights 4 out of 5 times, so they'll most likely win their fight, and they'll move on to a bigger contract. If you win 4 out of 5 fights, you're always moving on to a bigger tier and a bigger contract. So there is a financial aspect. Now, mind you, we've worked pro bono for many top athletes. We've worked for free. Mirsad Bektic is one. We've worked for him for free for years until rather recently when he started making enough money to start breaking off a little piece. I know Mirsad's going to be on the show, and he can talk to our level of professionalism and what we actually do year-round. When we're working with Tiago, Tiago fought 3 times in 3 years. He worked with us every week, every month during his downtime. We never received a paycheck for that, because we're an honorable team. We never charged him a la carte or per diem for each service that we charge, that we couldn't and should charge. We waited till the kid fought. And then we would get paid that small percentage. And again, it's a small single-digit percentage. It vastly is undervalued, and that's on purpose, because I used to fight. I don't want people in my pocket, but I have a team of professionals that also need to get paid. We have the most sophisticated software and data collection and aggregate sources that we use to overlay on top of the training programs and nutrition programs. We are liaison with the athlete and their medical teams, with their doctors, with their blood work. We review and analyze all of that content and information for them. That takes hours and hours of rigorous work at a high level. It's like, do you want to get your taxes done by a certified accountant that also is a attorney, a tax attorney, or do you want to get some online, free, or get your local buddy to do it for a couple dollars, or maybe you buy him a slice of pizza? Well, there ain't no way in hell I'm going to take that choice, and I'm not going to be surprised if you get audited by having local Joe do your taxes. You want to work with a top team. So to answer your question, well, I think a lot of these athletes have people in their ear, and unfortunately, there becomes a little bit of I think, some ego involved in bringing us in.
Hang on to that thought. We got to go to break here. It's our second commercial. We come back, we'll finish that, and I'll tell you what I was getting at. What I was wondering was, us losing these fights, God, and this is important to the UFC too.
Yeah.
Couldn't they somehow step in and figure out that? It seems like they've always been all about Team Dolce, and losing fights just sucks for us as fans. But anyway, we'll piece it all together when we come back after this break.
Let's talk about it, because I have an answer for you. was like, I'll just kind of do it. Most of the food that we get is it's unfortunate because I love sushi.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
College Bowl season kicks off Saturday with 4 games on SiriusXM. Starting at noon, Grambling State faces North Carolina Central in the Celebration Bowl at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's the New Mexico Bowl featuring Texas, San Antonio, and New Mexico. Texas, San Antonio, more than likely, and New Mexico. At 5:30 Eastern, Central Florida squares off against Arkansas State in the Cure Bowl, and Toledo squares off with Appalachian State in the Camellia Bowl. Is this a fucking prank or what? I've never even heard of these bowl games.
Never heard of this, yeah.
The Camellia Bowl, the Cure Bowl? What the hell? Get the channel numbers at SiriusXM.com/bowl schedule.
Are you going to be locking up with a never-ending pasta bowl?
Hell yeah. SiriusXM Fight Club will follow us next. That's RJ Clifford and Steve Cofield. They do a great job, and I'm sure they'll be talking some mixed martial arts. Some fight bookings took place overnight. We'll touch on those probably in the second hour. Right now we're focusing on our good friend Mike Dolce that's co-hosting here. And, Mike, so I was wondering before the break, we're losing these fights. These are important fights. There's a company over there that's worth $4.2 billion apparently. And I'm wondering, could they possibly step in and maybe help, cover some fees or just so that we can get these guys to the dance?
Yeah, so I'm actually, because of what I saw happen this past weekend with Pettis and Valerie Letourneau also missed weight, Gastelum before that and many other athletes, recently. So my team is actually crafting a letter to the UFC, to Dana, to Jeff Nowitzki, Mark Ratner, and really all the executives that I have a personal relationship that have seen the success, because I've been working with UFC, inside the UFC since 2003. And that's back in the NHB days. I've been working inside the world of no-holds-barred fighting, mixed martial arts, what have you, since the late 1990s, and I have a lot of connections, and I think I've developed a very solid relationship. When Dana sees me walk in with an athlete, they know the athlete's going to make weight. And the UFC and other coaches and teams that I've never worked with calls me quite a lot in the middle of fight week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, when an athlete is struggling, and we're always able to help them make weight, which is a beautiful thing. So we're crafting a letter to the UFC that is going to offer some suggestions. I do think there's a severe lack of education, and that's the biggest problem. Also, it is the common error of the pseudo-nutritionists that are preying upon the athletes, and what we're doing is we're outlining the federal regulations that a professional must have in order to administer medical nutrition therapy or oversee the nutrition programs of athletes. I do not believe that the UFC is aware of that. I do not believe that the athletes are aware of that, the teams and the management systems. So what we're doing is we're allowing the organization to understand exactly what requirements there are, just like when you go to a medical doctor, just like when you go to a contractor. You cannot have a contractor rebuild the foundation of your house without having a whole layer of certifications and licensure and insurance in order to do so. A lot of these teams out there, these pseudo-nutrition teams, they have none of that. All they have is maybe a set of abs, or they have some fancy Google terms that they've pulled up and they spew out there. So we're kind of communicating with the UFC, and whether it's our team or not, and I don't know that we would want to or be able to, because again, we have a lucrative commercial business, but we certainly want to help change the direction.
First hour is almost up. SiriusXM Fight Club is headed your way for the SiriusXM audience. The rest of you head on over to Facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. We'll continue the show there.
I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last dime.
Stand by.
This is George trying to figure out his flash right now.
I'm a pen and paper guy.
Yeah.
I just want to smash every electronic I have. That's why
I just bought this motherfucker a week ago too. That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Why do I have to update anything? You know, I mean, at least give me a month to chill.
It should be
It's like
ready to
buying a
go.
new car, and you know, within a week I have to go in and service it or something.
I'm
That's
with
some
you.
bullshit there. Which, by the way, I really do have to do to my 2013. I just dropped it off today. I don't know. I've had bad luck with that too. I'm on a bad luck run.
Okay, but 2017's coming.
I even tried some strength and conditioning.
Okay.
Earlier this year, and I started hurting the tendons and ligaments in my forearms, both of them.
Yep.
So I don't know if it was the golfer's elbow, tennis elbow. Motherfucker, these hurt. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I tried to take a little bit of time off. It's been feeling better, and I think I might get in there again. But we were doing the deadlifts.
Were you training with Ian
squats.
Omalza?
No, with
at his place.
Ulysses.
Ulysses.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw. I was like, oh, right on, man. Training with the
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah, so we were in there. We were getting down and dirty, but those injuries, they just kept mounting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, it's a Star Wars theme because the new movie comes out.
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
High
You watch it?
expectations. I'm a big Star Wars fan. It kind of lost me a little bit with the Jar Jar Binks days. You know, but I'm staying.
I like that.
We're locked in. Every once a year or so, my wife and I will kind of nerd out and we'll just watch. Spend a whole Sunday and we'll watch every Star Wars movie in order of the timeline.
How many are
the
there
way
now?
they did it, or the way it's
Not like New Hope first, so we'll actually go all the way back.
Okay,
and so we'll watch the way, the prequels kind of first all the way up and through.
Oh, I've never tried that before.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on a second.
Yep.
Now, for those of us that get laid, tell me, how does this go? In what order?
Wow.
How many are there now?
I think there's seven now.
Seven.
Yeah.
It came
This
out
would be
3, and then another 3 was a prequel, right?
Yep.
And then this is the 7th?
I think
Rogue?
the 7th one. Did the 7th one just come out?
So
yeah.
the 7 came out last year.
Yeah.
So this is like, I guess the 8th film, but it's a spin-off.
So that's really like a weekend marathon.
It's like
if
a
you're gonna do
long,
it.
sitting on the couch. And
If you can get Sammy the Squid to break down and watch Titanic, I may entertain the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He has a long-going feud with one of his best friends.
to cut this short, guys, briefly, I want to give you a little pre-Christmas gift.
Oh,
Goes
thank
you
you.
also.
Wait, is this a bowling pin?
It is not.
Oh.
And I didn't know you'd be here, but I have books for you. What this is.
It is a bowling pin.
It is a bowling pin. It is a Dolce signature water bottle. It's a hot cold beverage container.
I saw that when you came in last time. It was sharp.
Yeah.
Stainless steel, dual-walled. It will keep your hot or cold for 24 hours, which is revolutionary.
What
It is
a nice
patented.
touch, huh? Who did that? Who did that? Who added that? That was nice.
That's the company we work with. So we
Okay.
work with a water filtration company. We'll also make this special. Water is H2O, right? 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. This, and you can see that sealing system locks in the hydrogen. Most water containers, they actually leach out the hydrogen molecule, making the water less hydrating. So that's one of the reasons that we got this. So a little gift to you guys. And also in the bag, you're going to see a new limited edition Mirsad Bektic t-shirt.
Very cool.
There we go.
You
All
know.
right, just a little. It's Christmas time. A little gift
Thank
for you
you.
guys. Absolutely.
We
Appreciate
should
you guys.
we should keep up this segment, right, George? Just people come in and give us
Just
gifts.
people giving us
This
gifts.
is cool, man. I'm going to use this for sure.
I think
Thank you very much.
that goes literally everywhere I go now. It's awesome in the saunas because you have ice cold beverage in the sauna with you, or little story. I had that with Rhonda, and she had to do media. So 5 a.m. I put hot green tea in there. 5 a.m. She's all day long, doesn't drink. It gets back to the hotel 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Takes it, burns her mouth.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Nah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit.
What?
I've had something like that happen to me, and I've never been able to drink from a thermos ever again. I mean, it's golden.
Oh, what was yours? You thought
In kindergarten.
Ooh.
Kindergarten,
Going
I tried to
back.
fake being sick, so I didn't have to go to school, but it didn't work. My mom sent me anyway, so I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm there, I'm playing, and every day it's the same thing. It was like some kind of like Kool-Aid drink.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, I'm sweating. I'm going to go get my drink on. I open it up. Mom thought I was sick. There was hot chicken soup in there. Poured it into my mouth. Ah! It was a mess. I mean, it's my fault for lying, but
Karma
I've never
gotcha.
been able to do it since then.
Gotcha.
Karma got him. That's
Karma
right.
gotcha.
Hey, Dolce, really quick,
Yes.
before we get back to... I just want to go back to Star Wars real quick.
Yes.
Doesn't that look like the Death Star? Something that would be on there?
does actually.
And it actually has one of the...
The lever?
Yeah.
The hoof.
Isn't that cool?
So can you actually like blow up another radio show?
Yeah, that's basically what I just did.
So Luke Thomas show gone.
Gone.
Gone. Sorry, Luke. Goes gotcha.
A couple quick comments here. Let's see here. Ricky Scott wants to know, what would you suggest for Cyborg at this point, since you can't really help her?
Yeah.
And she just parted ways with her previous coach.
Yeah.
Who is, you were doing these seminars.
Certifications.
Correct. Yep. So has anybody graduated to the level of where they're close to being a Dolce disciple, hands-on, that could take on a big name like Cyborg?
We do have registered dietitians that have been certified in our system. We have medical doctors that have actually come in and been certified in our system.
Or does that Dolce umbrella still just not work with Cyborg because you're with Team Rousey?
It would probably be a little difficult. I think Cyborg, has a competitive rivalry with anything Ronda. I know she, takes pot shots at me. I try and be honorable and respectful. Yeah, she goes after me on social media. Some of her teammates put some nasty stuff on my Wikipedia page, all of which was false. So it's all in good fun. Whatever. We're selling fights. I get it. So I don't.
You two sat down and had a coffee.
We
once,
did,
right?
and I thought and I've always said
was
she was
it a
very
nice shake of the hands? You go your way, you go my way. It wasn't like a fuck you type.
No,
thing.
She was a very sweet girl. Unfortunately, she had bad management that gave her bad information. Cyborg should have fought for the 135-pound title in the UFC 3 or 4 years ago, but her management was playing some sort of negotiation game. They actually, and I think Cyborg would agree, they impeded her career and her progress, and since then she's been in this weird limbo. She should have been fighting for those titles years ago, and unfortunately I believe she wasn't managed properly. So here she is now. She's not even able to fight for the inaugural 145-pound title, and she should be. And I think, obviously she's got beef with Ronda and all her team, hates our team and all that fun stuff, but the girl, she's done the work. She should be fighting for the title, and because she has the wrong people around her, she's unable to. And that sucks to see. So I hate this. I'm an athlete advocate. I want to see the athletes do well. I want to see them stay healthy. I want to see them make money so they can walk away to their families and live really happy lives. Unfortunately, I think she's struggling a little bit with that.
Robert Michael Westcamp says, what's your take on the 4th-month USADA waiting period being applied to Angela Hill but being waived at a promotional necessity for Brock Lesnar?
Yeah. And it's a joke, right? And even, I point to USADA's retroactive therapeutic use exemption to Floyd Mayweather, who was caught using an IV without filing for a TUE. USADA gave him a TUE 23 days, I think, afterwards and said, yeah, no problem, it's fine. And then they ban BJ Penn for disclosing that he had used an IV, or they ban Lyoto Machida for disclosing that he used a DHE supplement, which is akin to a vitamin D supplement, essentially, that can be bought over the counter. So I think a lot of the USADA, I think their heart's in the right place, but I do believe there's a lot of politics and a lot of bureaucracy, and there's a lot of favoritism. And when money's on the line, I think that they're making some decisions that they shouldn't. How do you not force Brock Lesnar to go through that 4-month testing? That's the biggest pile of horseshit I've ever seen. And then Angela Hill, here's this young girl who's making probably 0.5% of what Brock Lesnar is making. This poor girl has to wait 4 months? Come on.
Okay. Let's go back to the phones, 866-522-2846. Steve from New York. He's been waiting for a while. What's up, Steve?
How you doing, guys?
Good, thank you.
Quick question, Mike. What's the best high heat oils to cook with?
Best high heat oils. I love it. Great question. You're doing your thing, man.
That's why I brought him on.
Coconut oil is probably our preferred, and I'm going to have a gratuitous plug. Boom, the Living Lean Cookbook. We actually go over what all the high heat oils are per recipe. Coconut oil is absolutely one of our favorite. It contains high levels of MCTs, medium-chain triglycerides, which are the preferred fat source for fuel in the human body. Plus, it is absolutely delicious. Coconut oil internally and externally, amazing. It actually cures ringworm, believe it or not. Which
really?
Yeah, it does. Susie Fritton, the UFC makeup girl, is the one that taught me that, and it worked because I had this ringworm on my neck. She's like, put a little coconut oil. I was using Lamisil, not going away. Within the first day, I peeled the skin off of it after using coconut oil. By 3 days later, it was absolutely gone. But to answer your question, sorry, not to gross you out, coconut oil, avocado oil, and peanut oil. Those are the 3 high heat oils that we use quite a bit. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, should never, ever, ever be heated. Those should only be served at room temperature or cold, typically on top of a salad.
One more quick question. Liver steaks. recommend it? Yes, no, and what kind of oil would you cook that with?
Say liver sticks?
Liver steaks.
Liver steaks, like the
tummy
organic
sticks?
grass-fed beef liver.
Okay, and what kind of oil? I don't know that I would cook those in. I try not to cook in oil. I might, probably cook that on a grill, or I would blanch it. Blanch is basically adding water to a pan instead of oil, and I will cover it. Or maybe, I kind of, blanch it, sear it on each side, and I'd put it in the oven at maybe 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. I wouldn't, because when you add oil, you're adding a tremendous amount of calories also. So you really need to be aware of what you're adding. A lot of athletes are adding, multiple tablespoons of oil to whatever they're cooking, not realizing that's adding, hundreds of additional calories per meal that they don't even consider, and that can actually blow your progress. Now, having the more essential oils, the healthier oils, not as bad from a health perspective, but when we're focused on weight and body composition, that does need a little fine tuning. So I would stay away from adding oil to things such as that. I don't add oil to meats, even chicken.
There you go, Steve.
Thanks a lot, guys.
You got it.
See it. Let's see here. Shout out to Victor Mayave. He is listening, and wanted to give him a shout out. Luke Staves was kind of on the same wavelength as me, talking about putting Dolce on the UFC payroll. Gavin McCarran disagrees with that. All right, we can get into that a little bit later.
Why, Gavin? Come on, buddy. You like seeing athletes suffer and damn near die?
Isn't it one of the worst things when someone doesn't make weight?
Yeah.
Literally, we sit here on a Friday and go, oh, man, we lost that fight, and I don't know. I'm just trying to bridge the gap there, if it was ever a financial thing or what. Because I don't think – I know you very well enough to know that I don't think it's ever a, oh, yeah, fuck you. Oh, yeah,
Never.
Well, fuck you.
Never.
It's just somehow it didn't work, and but I want it to work.
Yeah. We've set our business up that we're the ones that get fucked. So we have never screwed over an athlete. We've always overperformed. That's what we do. We overperform and, on deadline. That's our – if you don't do that in my company, you're fired. I will fire people in my team, and I've done so, but for underperformance, for lack of attention, and for missing deadlines, period, the end. They're out. They're not part of the team, because that's how we built our brand and our reputation. I've been screwed over. You would be shocked at how many multimillionaires owe me money.
Yeah.
Because
put me on the accounts receivables team.
You would do that? You would chase these bastards down?
Well, I'm not going to do like Dog the Bounty Hunter style, but I think I have a good way on the phone of saying, look, man, a grown man made this transaction.
Yeah.
So a grown man needs to be responsible for it.
I like that.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah. Luke Staves has a question for you. Yes. And Martin Stabilo thinks I'm going to be a little twat and not ask you, but I'm going to show him that I am.
What's up?
But I'll ask you after we get Mirsad Bektic on the show.
Boom!
So maybe I twatted out there at the end. Mirsad Bektic, he was out for a while, and he came back at UFC 204 and was very dominant against Russell Doan. So much that, being that he was away all that time, they're right away throwing him into some potential big-name fights. Yep. So we were stoked to see him come back and do well. Joining us now on the show is Mirsad Bektic. What's going on, Mirsad? Good to hear you.
Good afternoon, fellas. How are you?
Good, man. It's a couple months late, but seriously, great performance out at UFC 204, and just awesome to see you back in action.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great being back, and I felt like I didn't go anywhere. I felt like I was just way improving, and came back a whole nother being.
Yeah, and MMA continues. It doesn't wait for anybody. As you can see, even champions get stripped. But I think you were able to gain some of your momentum back. And, people are going to be talking about you in 2017 when we talk about, okay, Aldo and Holloway, that's probably next. But what do we do with Edgar and Swanson? I think you've kind of graduated to that level. Do you feel like you're at that level as well where you need to start taking on some of these big names?
I feel like they got to take me on. I feel like I'm the best. And, I feel like I've shown that through all my fights that I have the tools to beat anybody, and not just in my division, in a lot of divisions. I feel like I'm the most well-rounded guy there is, and it's just a matter of time before I'm the champion.
So you're going to sit back and wait for one of them to call you out?
No, I mean, I'm not going to be waiting. I'll be fighting. Hopefully I have something in the next couple of weeks out and about when my next fight will be. But, man, I'm just going to keep taking names by names. I'm going to continue destroying whoever they put in front of me, and make an easy work of it. That's my plan.
Who is your new matchmaker? Is it still Sean Shelby, or after the shakeup, will it be Mick Maynard?
As far as I know, it's still Sean.
Okay. Have you had conversations? You hinted that you may, in a couple weeks, we may know your next fight. Have you already had conversations? Have some names been thrown your way yet?
Yeah, some names have been thrown my way. I told them I'll be ready. I wanted to fight in March, so I'm expecting to fight in March.
In Las Vegas?
Early March. That would be nice. I was supposed to fight Vegas before I got injured, so I would love to fight in Vegas again.
Mm-hmm. Who would you like to fight at UFC 209 in Las Vegas?
Man, there's really no names. I'm expecting it's gonna be somebody who's in the top. So, yeah. It doesn't really matter.
But it makes sense to fight the name that gets you closest to the title shot, correct?
Of course.
Yeah. A lot of times fighters go for the big money name.
Ladder.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was interrupting you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me or Mirsad?
Mirsad.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I interrupted you again. Sorry about that.
That's all good. I'm moving up the ladder. Either way, I feel like everything is uphill for me. I'm just going with the momentum. I'm taking guys out. I'm not just taking them out, but the way I'm taking them out is, I guess, speaks for itself. And I expect the UFC. They always give me top guys. They always give me tough competition. Even from my UFC debut, Chas Skelly to the Brazilian, to everybody. And I expect a tough opponent, but I expect to make easy work of it.
Mirsad Bektic, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's coming off a win at UFC 204 over Russell Doan, submission rear naked choke in round 1, and this was after an 18-month layoff. All right, what do you have for Mirsad Bektic?
Mirsad Bektic, without a fight, is one of the scariest things you can think of, because when a fighter has an opponent, they're training for that opponent. But when Mirsad doesn't have an opponent, he's just getting better. And I think that's a scary thing for the rest of the division. I looked into my crystal ball earlier this week, George. You can vouch for me. What did I say about Mirsad Bektic at the end of the year?
You did say he would be a world champion in 2017.
I think in 2017, early 2017, you will be champion. Mirsad, how many fights do you feel right now that you're away from being the champ?
I'm 4-0, so I would say 3 to 4 fights. I think I'll be 14-0, and I feel like I'll be 14-0 in 2017, and then early 2018 I'll be 15-0 with the strap around my waist.
Now, you kind of alluded to this earlier, but you've been a little bit of a road warrior for the UFC, fighting back in the USA, whether it's Las Vegas or wherever you like. You'd like to fight in the United States, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I definitely really want to fight in the United States, and Las Vegas sounds like the perfect place for me.
So when you forecast all this and you look at what I just said about you becoming a world title holder, where is that at? What's the perfect scenario for you?
Oh, I feel like Vegas, I guess, March 4th sounds perfect for me.
At the T-Mobile Arena.
Is that
it's the new arena.
Arena?
New arena here in Vegas. It's
man,
state of the art.
Amazing. New arena, new champion. Sounds great to me.
Yeah, the only problem is we can't promote a fight if we don't know who the opponent is. So we're gonna play. I'm gonna pull out an old game that I played once with another featherweight, and it actually delivered. All right. So there's the music, and I'm gonna throw 3 names your way. I'm gonna throw hints towards the names. One of them's a Jersey kid like Dolce. The other one is part Cuban, part Mexican. He has a mullet. And the last guy has palm trees and other tattoos on his body, and those are the ones that are rated ahead of you, and they're contenders. So, with that said, give me a name, Mirsad Bektic. Which one of those names sounds good?
What am I supposed to say?
Who is, and then?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're talking about the Mexican kid. Who else? Palm trees. Somebody in Florida. Somebody in Florida? I don't know.
No.
Palm Springs.
It's Frankie Edgar, Ricardo Lamas, and Cub Swanson, all coming off wins like you, all ranked ahead of you, all have tasted that contender status, and they would pull you towards what you want to accomplish is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, of course. I mean, those are all fights that are very intriguing, and I'm sure I'll be fighting very soon with these guys.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
I think Lamas and Edgar might get matched up because Lamas has fought Swanson and Swanson has fought Edgar. So what about Bektic versus Swanson?
It's an interesting. Me versus Swanson?
Yeah.
What about it?
You like it?
Of course, I like all the matchups for me in the division.
All right.
Now, if I can chime in, I would love to see Mirsad fight someone not quite as high up as Cub yet, because Mirsad's not making that Cub money yet. So you need to consider that, and me being, a good friend of Mirsad, and I care about the guy. Mirsad, this is the last fight on your contract moving forward?
I believe I have this one and another one.
So, all right, and probably they're going to want to renegotiate with you after this next destruction. And there's a few guys, I think, that make sense that are in a similar pay grade, young up-and-comers. Mirsad takes them out, then it's time for the new deal, and I think that new deal should determine which, does he fight the bottom half of the top 10 or the top half of the top 10.
What you got in mind?
Well, personally, I like Darren Elkins.
Yes.
Who's a grizzled veteran for Mirsad. Mirsad's actually ranked above Darren right now.
Coming off a win.
Coming off a win. Darren's a durable guy. He presents a lot of challenges. I think Chaz Skelly is actually better in areas that Darren is. Chaz is super tough. Mirsad has a win over Chaz. I think it's a similar fight in some ways, but Darren he's a veteran. He's been in the UFC for a long time. I like that fight. I also like the winner of the Yair Rodriguez BJ Penn fight for Mirsad next, and that could be a great spring fight. And then from there, he beats that guy. Then it's top 5 all day. Anybody in the top 5, I know Mirsad can and will beat. But I'd like to see him get paid properly in order to do so. He's a young guy. He's got bills to pay. He's been out for over a year. I think it's time for him to get paid appropriately. And I'm just speaking as a friend and a fan of the sport right now, friend of Mirsad. He beats everybody in the top 15. No doubt. I want to see him get similar money to the guys that he beats, and that probably comes in his next contract.
So you feeling that?
Yeah, I like Dolce. I like the way Dolce's mind works.
Buddy.
Well, the other name that wasn't mentioned was Brian Ortega, but I don't like having undefeated guys that are projecting, upward, face each other this early.
Agreed.
So I'm glad you avoided it.
Why not?
Because oftentimes you get to the top of a division and then you're like forced to make someone fight, like Demetrius Johnson, Kyoji Horiguchi, I think he fought him too soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was undefeated, but nobody else was left because Demetrius has blasted everybody else.
Yep.
And so I don't like that. I like someone to fight the champion when they're ready. And so you don't want to peck off possible contenders, future contenders.
And it's a bigger.
So are you saying Brian's not ready for me?
Maybe I was saying the other way.
Cocky bastard. Well, what it is,
Jeopardy music you.
You can look at it like the number 1 and number 2 in a bracket heading towards number 1 contendership. Of course, Mirsad's the top seed, but you want to see the other top seed in the other side because it builds hype. That becomes a much more anticipated showdown when Mirsad's sitting at 14-0, when, let's say, an Ortega or someone like him is sitting with a similar path of destruction. Mm-hmm. That's a big eyeball fight. A lot of people watch. There's more money involved, and then the champion can't not fight whoever wins that fight.
I'll give you an example. I want to see Conor defend against Khabib and Ferguson.
Yeah.
Not the guy that beats the other one.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't want Ferguson to fight Khabib. But because Conor's going to take some time off, it's probably going to happen.
They got to fight.
Yeah. So sometimes you just get put in that pickle. But I do like the Elkins matchup. He's coming off a win. He's highly thought of because of the wins he's had. So it'd be a good test.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Mirsad, did you come out of that fight pretty healthy? I mean, it was only one round and it was pretty much one-sided, but everything good. You can start a fight camp anytime.
What's that? I mean, I'm getting ready for a fight camp right now. I'm just kind of getting my body adjusted to the training sessions. My weight is amazing. As always, I'm in great shape already. So I'm just waiting for a date to get out there. I'm ready to go. I'm always ready. But, training camp's the toughest thing. And for me, I just got to stay healthy. And it's just a matter of time, like I said, before I'm holding the belt.
Yeah. Holloway and Aldo, do you have a prediction for that fight? Since more than likely, whether it's at UFC 208 or another card, it is going to happen. Who do you think will be the champion by the end of by the time that fight is done?
I like Aldo in that matchup.
Why is that?
I think they're very similar fighters as what they bring to the table. I would say Holloway's more of a volume guy, but Aldo's got the technique and power, and he's got the experience as well. So I'm gonna go with Aldo. I mean, I think he's better. He's better and has more power at what Max does very well.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, great to catch up with you. Thank you very much for the time. Late congrats on your win at UFC 204, and hopefully when you get that new fight booking, you can come on the show and we can talk about it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, and I look forward to it. Thank you guys for having me.
Take care, Mirsad.
Take care. Thank you.
Later, buddy.
There you have it, folks. Mirsad Bektic, undefeated and confident, isn't he?
He is confident, but he's not. Mirsad's confident in a very humble way, which is, sounds like a contrary statement. He's confident because of the work that he puts in. Mirsad is the guy. Mirsad's in bed at 8, 9 o'clock at night. He's awake at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Mirsad meditates. He visualizes. He gets massage therapy regularly. This is all in the off season. He periodizes his training program. He understands what he needs to do in order to get better. Mirsad had the opportunity to fight in December, and he said, "No, I don't want to." This year, he said, "No, I don't want to fight in December. I want to get better."
Who was he going to fight? Can you tell us?
Didn't have it. They just said, "Hey, do you want to fight? We got a bunch of cards in December." And he's like, "No." How about February, March, because he wants that extra 2-3 months to actually get better, to skill build. This is a guy, and I've said it many, many times, Mirsad Bektic has a very similar level of athleticism and work ethic to George St. Pierre. I believe Mirsad right now in his career has more of a violent tendency in him than George did at this stage of his career. George, I think, is probably the all-time greatest fighter on the planet based upon his body of work. I think Mirsad is following very well in his footsteps and can actually exceed the success that George had.
All right, I'm going to selfishly ask you a question that pertained to me and the strength and conditioning that I was doing. Yeah. 2 things. One was the elbows from deadlifts.
Yep.
And the other thing, I started getting flares in my toes.
Okay.
And I actually thought maybe it was maybe I was not doing stuff correctly. I mean, Ulysses does break it down, but you get to the end and you're pushing it.
Yep.
So I thought maybe I pushed off, because the same way that you can strain a ligament here,
you
could strain a ligament or tendon, in your feet. But what I want to ask is what I was doing was soaking my feet in ice and putting ice on my elbows.
Okay.
Good old-fashioned therapy works. Is there something better?
It does work. What I would do instead of
and rest, as you can tell by this belly that showed up.
But 2017's coming.
Yeah.
And we're going to push hard this year.
Hell yeah.
So I would suggest, instead of localized ice therapy, I would suggest full body immersion, which is getting into a tub. I know it's a little brutal, but that would be ideal, because
I didn't say my shoulders were hurting.
But it's full body, and this helps in restorative capacity. It does help mobilize stored body fat. It's an excellent tool. It increases the levels of longevity. It helps with cognitive performance. It helps with the cardiac issues.
All right. I'll do it.
That's ideal.
How cold?
I prefer, and there's a little bit of a debate on temperature. Now, the standard that you want to be in is between 54 degrees Fahrenheit and 48 degrees. So I like to start the tub at 52, knowing that your body is going to heat that up. You'll probably finish closer to 53, 54. 1 degree is dramatic. If you think about the human body, 98.6 degrees, you feel fine. 99.6, you might have a little bit of a fever. So 1 degree difference is a big deal. I would probably, if I'm you, I would probably start at 54, get acclimated to that, and then slowly I would bring that down. Now, if you put ice into a tub, like a bag of ice from the gas station, you don't want that ice to just sit there and stay frozen. You want that ice to be able to melt, right? Because if it's at freezing, it's not going to be good for you. It'll actually have the reverse effect and can be harmful.
Okay.
We're just looking to minimize inflammation.
How many bags of ice?
It depends on the amount of tub. The
standard tub?
The standard tub. Now, you can actually go to like a Home Depot or a feed supply store, and you can get a feed tub for cattle or for pigs. They actually make
feed supply store that
feed
exists?
supply. They do. There's one. There's one just in the northern part of town. Actually, different story, but we're opening up a training facility here in Las Vegas. This is where we're getting all of our stall mats for the gym floor. They have them there. They actually, I think Rubbermaid actually makes them also. They have a valve, so you can actually uncork the valve. You can hook a hose up to it, so you can, let's say, put it in your living room and have the hose come out of your living room and go out into your garden. You can water your garden that way if you wanted to, but I don't think you should do that.
All right, but back to the tub. You think one bag of ice does the trick?
You're going to have to play with the system. I'd say get a bunch of bags. If you have access to like an external freezer at your house, gets a hell of a lot easier. So do
I run the cold water, submerge, and then throw the ice, or throw the ice first and then just go in?
Either way. Now, doing it the first way makes it easier to get into the tub. The second way, it's a lot harder for that first 10 seconds. But after that 10 seconds or so, you feel fine.
It ain't 10 seconds, Dolce. I've seen my fair share of embedded. Isn't it like 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
I don't think it's that long.
Uriah Hall wanted to strangle people at Extreme Couture.
Dude, it hurts. It physically hurts when you move. Once you're in there.
That's just a mental issue.
Really?
It's not. It's perspective.
Yeah.
Right. If you look in, you say this is exactly what my body needs. This is a healthy modality. Like, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to embrace this. I will be better when I get out of this. If that's the way you frame it mentally, then it's not torture. But if you say, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I'm going to hate absolutely doing this. This is going to be terrible. This is going to hurt. Then you have a negative connotation to that.
How long do I go in there for?
So I would start at 5 minutes. I would build my way up to 15.
5 minutes.
Oh, you're going to be Jack Dawson when you get out of there, George.
Yeah. 5 to 15 minutes.
Yep.
54 degrees.
Yep.
And then figure out whether it takes a bag or two to get to that.
Yeah.
The temperature.
Probably 2 bags.
Two bags. And then where do I hippopotamus like all the way down or
all the way down? So you want to go down
to my chest?
The bottom of your lip and your earlobe, so you can actually get your brain stem and your carotid arteries into the water also. So the lower you get, the better. Bottom of the lip to the earlobe, then you're ideal.
And I want to be clear about this. Do it with someone nearby.
Yeah.
Because if for some reason
safety first. Someone that can drain the tub or pull you out, just in case something happens.
Right. Door open, put on the trunks, no nudie.
Yeah.
No nudes.
It depends on how you roll.
Well,
you can keep it interesting.
How do you reheat your body?
Just
once you get out of it,
so
just let
you
it
don't
happen?
Yeah, so what happens when you do this cold immersion, all the blood pulls to protect the core, your vital organs, right? That's the beauty of it, and that's what reduces the inflammation. So as you get out of the tub, your body will naturally reheat itself with this fresh blood supply that actually has been circulated, has been cleaned. So all these fresh, vital, healing nutrients will get pumped back into your soft tissue, your muscle tissue, your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, things like that.
How often?
Every day. Like, if you can do it every day, that's ideal. Now, that sounds like a lot. One of our, high profile clients, non-athletes, we have him doing this every single day, and it's dramatically changed his life from a function performance standpoint.
Damn.
Yep.
How often do you do it?
I do it as often as I can. So I'll do it 3 times a week typically. I go to Lifetime Fitness or the spa over at the Palms, the Drift Spa. And they have an awesome cold plunge over there.
Do they really?
Yeah. Yeah,
you just roll in and go, I'm Dolce, or do you?
They hook me up. They take care of me.
Oh,
it's cool.
Yeah,
we should go, man. That'd be awesome. Sometime? Absolutely.
Yeah.
That'd be a good time. Like, usually I'll go like
once again, though, we're wearing trunks, man. We're not doing the nude thing.
No, I don't do the nude thing. And that freaks me out because there are some other dudes with their little junk kind of, swinging in the wind.
At 52 degrees, imagine it'd be like a little light switch on the door there.
And it's like, why? Like, you can't, wear a pair of, dry fits, man.
Exactly.
Well, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see your dirty, hairy ass crack sit down on the side of the hot tub.
Well, a bunch of guys are in the same cold immersion thing?
No, because most guys aren't man enough to get into the cold tub. So they kind of they'll dip their toe in there, then they'll go and sit in the hot tub, or they'll go in the sauna. A lot of the naked guys, they go into the steam room. I'd never go in the steam room.
I've never understood that.
It's so weird, man. I don't, I get it, but I don't need to see it. We don't need to see it. I get it. You got to get changed, no big deal. Change, take off, put it on, whatever, no big deal. But don't be standing there reading the newspaper with your junk hanging.
And they talk to you. Like, when I was in there, I remember this guy.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
He was kind of weird. And
you wanna? It's a creepy stuff, man.
All right, let's take this break, our only break of the second hour, and then we'll have to power through some rapid-fire questions. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Give us a few minutes. We'll be right back. We'll have to blast through some of these, right?
Okay, quick.
Tell your boss to reschedule that meeting. Call your wife and tell her lunch is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we got my Dolce in the house. We're going to do some rapid fire. P. Pitty 1000 says, does he work with Mirsad? Yes, he was just on the show. Is he available to comment on Alves? You think you'll work back with Thiago Alves, after his incident? Or
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The question they weren't sure I could ask was, it just comes up every so often.
Yep.
Have you and BJ Penn squashed your beef?
I never had the beef. Yeah, that's kind of the odd thing. So I believe so. But again, I just I sit back, I stay in my own sphere, and let it be what it is, So I just leave it at that.
What are some good foods to lower blood pressure? That comes from Afro Mike 76.
Yeah, lower blood pressure isn't specifically foods itself. It's the complete lifestyle. So we always want to, number one, we want to sleep 7 to 9 hours a night. We want to mitigate stress in all areas possible. We want to express and receive love, which actually is very important. People overlook that. And then we want to eat a diet complete of earth-grown nutrients. That's real food, and get rid of all the processed products in your day. That's probably the best answer I can give.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to D Madden MMA. Loves the new video setup. Frankie Man 73 wants me to buy Sting tickets and sell them for a profit so we can all go for free.
Okay.
I'm not doing that, Frankie Man. I got stung so I don't want to get stung by Sting. Let's see here. I think that's it. Cammy Benzo says he's not sure Dana can write those checks freely anymore, talking about maybe the UFC could subsidize, I guess, Dolce fees so that these athletes can go in there and not disappoint us. Goes, you had a question? Danny had a question. Let's get those going while I line up my Facebook stuff.
Who goes first?
Let's go with Danny.
Okay, cool. So, here's my situation. And it's funny that you mentioned Lifetime Fitness because it's one of the few gyms in the northern Jersey area that actually has pools.
Yep.
And I'm big into swimming. I swam all through college, and I really wanted to start swimming again. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more expensive than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I currently have canceled my other gym membership so I can start saving up so that I can supplement to make it even out to the same it would cost for my other gym.
Sure.
So right now I'm in between gyms, and so I'm trying to keep up a daily workout at home.
Yep.
And I'm kind of just going on my own right now.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do you guys offer kind of, I guess, workout plans for people in my situation where you're just a normal person and you're in between gyms and you want to keep up with everything so you don't just go back to the gym completely out of sorts?
So we have 3 very specific products for technically. The first is at thedolcediet.com. We have an online membership program, 4-week or 12-week. Every meal, ingredient, recipe, grocery list, workout with video tutorials of every exercise. We have some UFC fighters doing the performance and very attractive bikini models showing you how to actually exercise. That's the 3 weeks of Shredded and Living Lean program, thedolcediet.com. The next is we have a one-on-one consultation with myself and one of our dietitians to help you troubleshoot what you're doing, tell you exactly what you need to do. That comes with a copy of our Living Lean cookbook, and we tell you what meals to make, how to partition those meals so you're locked in. We also have an 8-week My Diet program or the My Lifestyle program. That is you're working one-on-one with one of our dietitians. You have weekly phone calls, updates, meal plans, everything you need we curate completely for you, and we're available 24 hours a day, literally, for you to ask us any questions. And then the last is we have our books. So 3 weeks of Shredded right here. We have Living Lean that has workouts and menu plans built in. Also at thedolcediet.com, we have over 1,000 free news items, workouts, recipes, life hacks, motivation, things such as that, education information that you can use immediately. So we have all of this content currently available. Now, to answer your question in a very specific manner, body weight exercises. Walk out your front door 15 minutes, turn around, come home. Add 1 minute per day until you've done that for 60 minutes. Wake your ass up 1 hour earlier than you have to and get that done. Then start adding in body weight exercises. That is a body weight squat. That is a push-up. That is a V-up. That is a burpee. If you can perform 100 repetitions of each of those, you will be in kick-ass shape for free.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
You had kind of teased opening up like a center.
Yes.
Well, what's the update on all that?
So what we're doing right here in Las Vegas, we have our Dolce Diet Center, which is dedicated primarily to our registered dietitians working one-on-one with members of the community. That's where we do all of our content creation. We were getting ready to open up a larger facility in town. The landlord of the facility that we're at right now said, hey, we love you guys because we pay our rent 6 months in advance. Please don't move. This summer, I'm going to be building a much larger facility, and we're going to build you your own gym to spec, and we're going to lock in your rate. We're getting a great deal right now anyway. We love the guy. It's actually Pace Plaza here in Las Vegas. Tom Fallon is an amazing owner. Very happy to be in business with him. So what we're doing is we're taking 1,000 square feet of our current office space. We're converting that into a semi-private training studio. We are going to have small group classes of 8 to 12 running throughout the day. We're also going to have 1-on-1 to 3-on-1 private sessions with myself, any one of our certified coaches, in all different modalities. So, and then we're going to have a business model set up for personal trainers to pay us basically a lease rate, a couple $100s a month, let's say. Then they can bring their clientele in and they can use our facility. Also, you'll be working in-house with our registered dietitians. So it's more of a complete holistic health and fitness center. We'll be catering to high-profile athletes, of course. We work with a lot of pros. We work with a lot of celebrities and high net worth clients, CEOs, and things such as that. And that's where the semi-private concept comes in. We want to be able to shut the door and not just be like an LVAC, these traditional Globo gyms. I can't have Ronda Rousey in our facility and people are stopping our workout asking for selfies. Mm-hmm. So that's
44 GSP 44 on Twitter says, Do your athletes eat thick steak with an egg on top to treat themselves on Sunday, the week of a fight?
No, that was the most ridiculous, asinine thing. He's speaking about Anthony Pettis.
All right. I didn't know. Seriously, I didn't know.
Anthony Pettis' pseudo nutritionist had Anthony eating a store-bought steak with an egg on top, and I don't know what else, but this was at a restaurant. Number one, that's an inferior piece of meat. Number two, that piece of meat is treated. Typically, it has some sort of butter rub on it. It's too high in total weight, very difficult for the digestive system to break down. Why he's pairing that with an egg at that point with no discernible carbohydrate source makes absolutely no sense. And obviously, Anthony's weight was in jeopardy at that point. I believe that was misinformed and uneducated at best, and it was very dangerous because you fast forward a few days, and Anthony said he felt like he was going to die and had to be pulled out of the sauna. So that is one of the mishaps that happened on the road to Anthony's health issue. So it was just very, very, very poorly planned. It was so ridiculous. And then I think the guy was actually bragging about, well, his weight's so good, we get to, cheat a little bit or loosen up. Clearly not. Sad.
Hello to Randy from San Francisco. Joe Mosqueda. He's being sarcastic. He's telling us he's eating M&Ms for lunch. Is it good or bad?
Bastard.
And let's see. The other one was Joe Purcell. Greetings from Alaska. Does Dolce plan to inform Bellator about Bro Science nutritionists? They seem to have 2 to 3 missed weights, guys missing weight a card, I guess. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I think the first, because I have such a close relationship with Dana and members of the UFC, I think that's the first conversation. The primary, batch of our athletes are competing in the UFC, although, I love Bellator and work with a lot of their athletes at certain times also. But the first conversations with the UFC, they are the largest organization in the world, and they have the biggest global reach. Therefore, they can inform and educate a much greater variety. But I'm sure that letter will go out to Bellator, will go to World Series of Fighting, will go to ONE FC, and as many media outlets that would love to hear exactly what is going wrong.
Yeah, put me on the BCC. I want to check it out.
Absolutely will. Absolutely will. It's a sad state of affairs right now to see these athletes preyed upon by unqualified pseudo-nutrition experts who clearly are not doing their job. They're risking the lives, the safety, and careers of the athletes.
Raimundo Martin says he used to do ice baths all the time when he played college football.
Yeah.
Stave says Holloway wins. Chad Paul says Aldo wins. Joe Mosqueda now says Dolce is with Ronda. I don't even know if we touched on that early
Absolutely.
in the show. Is she in Vegas yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, it's all just communicated.
Undisclosed training location.
Yeah. All right.
The Death Star.
I think we've gotten all of it here. Let's go back to the phones. One more on the phone side, all the way from Clearwater. What's going on, my man? Clearwater Beach bad boy. You up?
He's at an undisclosed location as well.
Okay. I'll put you on hold, maybe give you another shot in a couple minutes because we're running out of time here. Mike, why don't you get all your plugs in for the podcast?
Gotcha.
You already kind of mentioned the books, but, some of these would make some great stocking stuffers. A lot of kids come home from college.
Yeah.
And the parents that are listening, they may want to, say, hey, look, you're going to start cooking for yourself at your dorm or wherever. Here you go. And we still have 2 weeks so that they can get this.
Now is the time. I appreciate that. So we have 4 number 1 international best-selling books. We have 3 weeks to shred it. We have the Living Lean Cookbook. 3 weeks to shred it is to lose 21 pounds in 21 days. It is what the professional athletes use to lose weight. We wrote a book about it that shows you exactly how to do it. This has sold, innumerable copies and continues to do so. The Living Lean Cookbook actually has over 250 Dolce diet-approved recipes that are phenomenal. They're very family-friendly. Elite athletes can use it. We do have our college diet guide, which is for the college student that wants to smoke weed and not get fat. We can actually teach you how to do that, and we do reference that.
How to roll the joint or just the food?
You'd be surprised at what we can teach. It's earth-grown nutrients, man.
Oh, okay.
This is what we're talking about here. We also have, let me reach and get it. We have the Black Pack. And this is
what people keep asking about.
This is kick-ass, the Black Pack right here. So you see that right there. It is a built-in hot-cold compartment. All 4 meals actually come inside this. So 4 full meals come in that. You get the 4 free BPA-free food containers. You get 2 ice packs. It has a compartment for your sneakers. It is copper woven, so it's antimicrobial, and it is odor-free material. It's absolutely insane. It is a TSA approved laptop case, so you don't have to take your laptop out. You just unzip it, slide it right through. You're good to go. I call that got a 3-day bag. So you have like the sneakers you have on, another pair of shoes. You have your dry bag, which is all your nice stuff. You have a complete portfolio. You can fit a 17-inch MacBook Pro plus a 13-inch MacBook Air plus your iPad plus your work documents all inside the approved pouch. We have a hidden compartment for all your cash, passports, and contraband. And then you have all those four meals with you. You can work one-on-one with our dietitians, myself, members of our team. That's at DolceDietShop.com. Go to DolceDietShop.com right now, and that's where everything is. And you can get it before Christmas. There's no better gift than the gift of health.
It's worth it alone just so I don't have to take my damn laptop out and use a separate tray.
Yeah,
if you travel, you got me just with that.
And I literally went through 21 backpacks over the few years of my travel, and I was like, I love this, I hate this. I love this, I hate this. So I actually had this bag created. This is a patented bag. We're patent pending, the utility patent for this bag. No other bag is like that right now because, number one, it looks like a normal backpack. You don't look like a kind of bodybuilder with that weird old massive lunch bag that's supposed to be a backpack, but it doesn't fit any of your stuff. Ours fits everything you need to travel for at least 3 days, or unless you're like me, you don't mind being a little stinky, no big deal. But it has all four meals with you, so you can bring it to work, you can do your thing, you look very professional in the office, you can go straight to the gym, you have all your meals with you, shower, clean, go home, take the girl out or whatever, and you're still looking good.
This is a good question. It came up recently. PVZ, Paige Van Zandt, said she would meet Ronda at 25, provided they both win. Maybe someone asked her and she just answered it. I don't think it was a call-out. But could Ronda ever make 25?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
No doubt. Absolutely. Okay. I think
Ronda's not listening on, hey, whoa.
Now, I'm not saying Ronda wants to or even should.
But the science says her body frame can make.
Her body frame can make 125, and I would rather see Ronda at 125 than 145. It makes no sense for us to move up. Now, Ronda is walking around right now, he's done all of her training camp below 145 pounds. It makes no sense for her to move up than to go down. A 20-pound weight cut is very common, and it would be even less than that because we would make off-season modifications. And I think Ronda versus Joanna, that's the true super fight in the division. Because Joanna has been a dominant champion. Ronda was a dominant champion, making her way back to become a dominant champion. I think that's the true super fight in women's MMA.
The morning weigh-ins, is it like the other weigh-ins used to be where it was a 4 p.m. local start time?
Yep.
You stepped. If you were over, you had 2 hours, right?
Yes.
To lose the weight.
Yes.
In the morning weigh-ins, how does that work? Do you show up when you're kind of ready, knowing you're going to make it, or when's the last cutoff? Like, how
so the scale is open for 2 hours. You have to make weight before the scale closes. So you technically have 2 hours. You can go and step on at 8 a.m. and find out, oh, geez, I got to lose a quarter pound or whatnot, and you can come back and make it. But if you show up at 9:59, a minute before the scale closes, that's your last chance to do it. So you have to, and they do have a test scale.
You only have 2 times to try it.
You only have 2 times to try it. They have a test scale in the back, so you can jump on the test scale, see where you are, and then you can go and cut your weight and come on back and make sure you're on.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Additional 8 to 12 hours?
I love it. I was one of the advocates. I had a long conversation with Jeff Nowitzki about that before this ever came to fruition and before the California State Athletic Commission Summit on Weight Cutting. These are one of the ideas that I actually championed. I don't want to take responsibility for it, but I was one of the voices that actually said, this is what you need to do. If you truly care about the health and safety of the athlete, we need to push that weigh-in farther away from competition so the athlete has more time to rehydrate, and that's based upon the cerebral spinal fluid, the CSF. The cerebral spinal fluid is the last safety barrier between the brain and that secondary collision on the inside of the skull.
It's the cushion, right?
It's the cushion. And if that is reduced, the incidence of TBI, traumatic brain injury, goes up exponentially. And let's not forget about the reduction in visuospatial awareness. That's my ability to see you, gauge distance, gauge timing. Reaction time drops dramatically when we are dehydrated. Cognitive function can drop up to 30% with just a 2% level of dehydration. Now think about that. Everything works 30% less good for very simple layman's terms. If you're 2% dehydrated, that's 4 pounds. That's a 200-pound athlete at 196.
Brain, kidneys, everything?
Everything.
Wow. You have any more? Or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, I have one more, and I don't know if it's a joke or not.
Uh-oh.
But he's saying Where did it go? Fucking A, motherfucker. I just had it. God damn it. I just pinned it down. But he was asking about a show, My Diet's Better Than Yours. Does that really exist?
There is a show, My Diet's Better Than Yours.
Have you ever been asked to be on that? Or was you ever going
I have been asked, and due to timing, and it's been difficult. But we have been contacted about championing or running, being the lead in a very notable on a notable network, a weight loss show. So we've been contacted by some different production companies in Hollywood to run a weight loss fitness kind of minded television production, to which we may or may not. It all depends. It all depends on the deal. But we want to make sure that we can protect the science, that it's not edited to make it like a Biggest Loser. That's my biggest concern. So we want to make sure that's very real and very honest.
Thank you again for the gift.
A pleasure, my friends.
It's always a pleasure to have you here, educating us. Congrats on all your success.
Thank you. Working
folks,
hard.
Follow him on Twitter at the Dolce Diet. Follow Mirsad Bektic at Mirsad Bektic MMA. Thank you to both of them. Tomorrow we'll be joined by James Krause as a co-host.
Nice.
And we'll also have Holly Holm on the show. For Dolce and Martine way over there, and Goes and Danny, I'm George. Go out there and be champions.
Bang.